Let Her Go, the anniversary edition. We're a decade on. You are re-performing it. It's reimagined. This is the album we're talking about, of course. Who's involved? Who'd you phone up? Who'd you get to collaborate?
Well, yeah, 3 or 4 of my favourite artists, actually, and 4 brilliant artists that were kind of around at the time of the original album being made. I was lucky enough to be on tour with Ed Sheeran a lot around that time. And he was just so instrumental in Let Her Go getting big in the first place.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was the first sort of obvious one straight off the bat. And then I've got Gabrielle Aplin, Nina Nesbitt and Foy Vance, who are just phenomenal. Yeah, I'm so lucky.
The album, All the Little Lights, I can't believe it's over a decade, isn't it?
It's terrifying.
It's 11
really
years,
scary,
isn't
yeah.
it? And Let Her Go was number 1 in 19 countries or 20 countries around the world, something like that.
Bit disappointed with the number in the end, yeah. But yeah, crazy. Really, really crazy.
And where, like, if there was a pecking order of where you're massive other than the UK, who particularly loves you out of those 19 territories?
It tends to sort of fluctuate and change. I think Australia's always been a really amazing market for me. I did a lot of busking over there back in the day, so I sort of, crafted.
So you were cover-tastic, I would imagine, then, not just over the time.
I was cover-tastic, yeah.
Which cover brought in the Australian books most?
Well, hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again. It's just a classic, and it just grabs people, I think.
Yeah, but especially your take on it.
Oh, you're very kind.
Every morning I either run, shuffle, or cycle through Trafalgar Square, and they have those sort of circles now. Have you seen them? The busking circles.
Oh, right.
They're like official circles that are designated circles, and there's always people up and doing usually amazing stuff.
Yeah.
Have you ever sort of flash mobbed yourself, or do you ever pop up and do that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I used to do it all the time. Even after sort of everything got bigger.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
How did that go down? Was it fun? Was it more fun?
I love it, man. It's obviously different. It's more like an outdoor gig. We have to plan it a little bit more. It's not just rocking
But lots
up.
of buskers do let her go, don't they?
They do. It makes me very proud.
So when you do it, people, if they don't look up, they'll hear somebody doing it usually quite well, I would imagine.
I've had it before. I've been busking Let Her Go, and a kid came over to me and was like, "That's an amazing cover. You sound just like Passenger." Yeah. Genuinely, and I played along for like 10 minutes. I was like, man, I love that guy. Yeah,
is
big
that
fan.
all the thrills? What's the name of that amazing acrobat, Max? He's been on the show, Olympian.
Max Whitlock.
Max Whitlock.
Oh, gymnast, yeah.
So Max Whitlock, obviously he can do somersaults in his sleep.
Sure.
And we were saying, weren't we, when he was in Vessels, if we could do that, we just do it in like a queue for the post office. You just have to do that
just
stuff.
Start backflipping about. Yeah.
But you have your version of that, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, it's funny with busking. You learn all sorts of ways to sort of draw in an audience, and I think it taught me so much, man. Not just as a musician, but just how to be a human being on planet Earth, and how to navigate it and meet all sorts of people from different walks of life.
It's funny because they say when you're younger, whether you're a comedian or a raconteur or whatever, even acting to a certain extent, I would imagine that you sell your story, you sell your joke, you sell your message. But as you get older, you begin to tell your message.
That's nice.
And it's a whole different energy, and it's a drawing in energy as opposed to a sort of reaching out energy. But your songs have the more mature latter aspect to them anyway. You bring us closer towards you. Where does that come from?
I think that's really true, actually. I feel like when I was younger, there was a sort of energy of needing it to happen and really sort of wanting to prove myself, wanting to get my music in front of people. And as I've grown up, and maybe it's because it has happened to an extent and I can relax about it, but now it's just like, I just want to make music that I'm proud of and that I love and that hopefully connects with other people. And I think when you have that intention, only good things can happen, probably.
Well, 9 albums down the line from the original, that's a lot. You've been quite prolific, my friend.
I have, yeah. I've always written a lot. It's always kind of flowed out of me. I'm really lucky like that. I don't have writer's block, and I don't sort of go away and write. I just constantly write. Yeah. So, I never feel too far away from it. And over the years, it's been great. I think, by the time I've recorded an album, released it, toured it, I've kind of got another one ready to go. So, it's just been a sort of conveyor belt, really.
My friend Seth Godin, he says there's no such thing as writer's block. There's just bad writing, but you have to write badly to get to the good stuff.
You do. You have to
just
churn
keep
through
going,
the stuff
don't you?
that's not quite there.
Yeah. Writer's block is just a fear of what other people think about what you're going to write that day. And they do say, good writers don't think and then write. They write themselves into thinking that day about what's on their mind.
Yeah, and I always felt as well that if you're under pressure, that's genuinely when you start writing stuff that isn't quite you, writing stuff because you've got a time limit and whatever. Yeah. That's the danger zone for me. I think I always just try to take the pressure off and just say, if I write, I write. If I don't, I don't. If it's brilliant, it's brilliant. If it's not, it's not. And you just have to turn up and do it. I think that's the key.
Yeah, and also if you are writing under pressure, it's coming from the wrong place. So sometimes you get hit songs that just have the wrong energy about them, and sometimes you get songs or whatever it may be, whatever content, whatever sort of lane of art you're in, that isn't so good but has great energy behind it. And I think if you keep going, we say a lot on this show, it's not about the action, it's about the energy behind the action. You know, I had an issue this week, and it's like it was very, very. I wasn't sure what to do about it. And I just thought, well, I mean well. Yeah. So I'm just going to go and do it. And it turned out fantastic.
Yeah, nice.
So it's interesting, isn't it?
It really is, yeah.
And we had Johnny Marr on the show at this time last week.
Oh, cool.
The great Johnny Marr.
Wow.
And every music... I'm going to buy a warehouse full of Johnny Marr books and give them to everybody that I love that comes on the show, especially those that come in wielding a guitar, because the book is called Johnny Marr's Guitars.
Nice.
Because he has a collection of 132 guitars, and they've been shot like supercars or supermodels.
Wow.
And there's this beautiful photography of each guitar, sometimes more than one photograph of each guitar. And then there's the story about the guitar. And the stories about, there's not a single dull story. If this was like Columbo, there's not a Duff episode.
Wow.
And it's awesome. And he was saying to us last week that sometimes, not only had writer's block, but when it wasn't coming from him, sometimes it came from his guitar. And he said some guitars he bought and they had Smith songs in them.
Interesting.
Do you, because you brandish a guitar, if it's not coming from you, sometimes can you start playing the guitar and you start hearing it coming back your way?
I definitely think there have been moments where I absent-mindedly pick up a guitar, not thinking about writing a song, not thinking about much at all, and straight off the bat, something just kind of flows out of my fingers.
Yeah.
And that's an amazing... And I actually Let Her Go was like that. I genuinely remember walking into this dressing room. It was more of a broom cupboard, really, but in a pub in Australia, and just picking up the guitar and honestly playing the riff like I'd written it 10 years before.
Is that what happened? Is that where it happened?
Yeah. So
that's interesting. Was that pre-gig, post-gig, pre-gig?
Pre-gig.
Pre-gig. So you're warming up?
Yeah. And
you're warming up and this song comes...
Yeah.
What? That's just rude.
It's odd, isn't it? And pretty much finished it in 45 minutes.
No way.
I know. And other songs that I've written have taken months before.
I wonder if you went and did a survey of all musicians, past, present, and future, even ones that aren't with us here anymore, but will always be with us via their music elsewhere. I wonder if all the great songs came quick. Most of the great songs came quickly because we keep hearing that story.
I think there's a lack of overthinking that goes with a song that just falls out. If it just comes out naturally and you don't have to do much about it, then it's kind of fully formed.
Yeah.
And it's right.
Bernie Taupin said on this show a couple of weeks ago, he said that the lyrics to your song happened in 10 minutes when he was sitting at Elton John's mum's tea table and he was 17 or 18.
Wow.
I know. By the way, listen to the lyrics from an 18-year-old. What the heck? If I could swear, I would. And it only happened because Elton's mum was making them both a fried egg sandwich and she couldn't get the oil up to the heat in time. So she said, you're going to have to wait for your sandwiches.
Wow.
So whilst he was waiting, he wrote your song. And if the eggs had been fresh or been out of the fridge for longer, we wouldn't have your song. But again, 10 minutes, start to finish. Then he gave the lyrics to Elton. 20 minutes later, job done.
That's insane.
It's the best story, isn't it?
It really is wonderful, yeah. But I believe it as well.
Let Her Go, right? Have asked us how many downloads?
Oh no, but I've just looked. It's absolutely insane. It's in the billions, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 2 billion and counting.
Billions.
It's the second most Shazam song of all time. What's the first?
Yeah,
probably Crazy Frog or something like that. I'm not in.
No, but
don't
Crazy
quote
Frog
me
was
on
Crazy Frog. I thought Gangnam Style, but you wouldn't
maybe.
have to Shazam it because you know what it is. Wonder what it is. Wonder what
I should have that. I should have that fact to.
I like the fact you don't know it. I would know it if it was me. I would know all of them. The top 100.
But it's so funny that you mentioned Shazam because actually, the way Let It Go got big, I released the album, I released Let It Go, nothing. I was a busker, I was playing in pubs, nothing happened for 9 months.
Yeah.
And we got an email out of the blue one day, me and my manager, from this guy called Dave in Holland. And he was like, I was sitting in a cafe in Amsterdam and Let It Go came on. I didn't know what it was, so I Shazammed it. And I love it, and I want to take it to radio. He's a radio plugger over there. Do you mind if I take it into radio? No worries. If it doesn't work, you don't have to pay me anything. So I was like, yeah. What? I kind of thought it was a bit of a scam or something. I was just like, but, fine. Knock yourself out. 2 weeks later, it was #1 in Holland, and then it dominoed around the world from there. So without Shazam, without that moment, without... it's a bit like the fried egg story. It's like, without Dave going into the cafe and bothering to Shazam a song that you like the sound of.
So Elton's mum's cold eggs, too soon out of the fridge.
Yeah.
Is your Shazam.
Yeah, I think so.
Love it.
Yeah.
And from Elton's mum's cold eggs to Elton's cold heart, which is the most Shazam song of all time.
Way!
No way.
Cold eggs, cold heart. Jeez, Elton, you need to warm
That
things
was
up
some
a bit
segue,
more.
man.
Yeah.
An
What's wrong
egg
with
way,
him?
if you will.
Yeah.
It's strange
Don't
because
worry about
every time we've seen him, he's on fire. Maybe that's it. Overcompensation from childhood trauma.
Yeah.
Fried egg sandwich childhood trauma.